Jobs, tiny house build videos. And as you've seen in the previous episode, the interior has been ready and prepared for the wood. I already made one panel here on the inside. I'm using 10mm fiberboard with a very smooth outside, and I'm going to fill this entire tiny house with wood. So practically that's just a big puzzle of measuring the right size, writing down the piece you have to make, putting it on the wood and then cutting it out. And that's pretty much it for the entire house. After the piece has been cut, I can put it into place and mark the holes. I'm pre-drilling my holes with a small metal drill. I'm using a countersink drill bit to countersink the holes for the screws. I didn't film much of the work, but I'm happy to announce the interior walls are all finished and on their place. As you can see, the shower wall is here, all the walls are here, and I even did the slanted wall. I did not do the bottom side because of weight reduction, and the bed will be on top of here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There are quite a lot of gaps and seams here, and they all need to be filled later on, so that it's all smooth and ready to paint on and put the different kinds of things on that I want to do. Now it's time to go to all the power locations and drill the holes for the sockets. And I got a nice fresh hole saw for that job. After drilling the hole, the plastic boxes can be attached as so, and then the wires can be drawn through. When all the wires are in place, they can be stripped and attached to the outlets. And the outlets can be pressed into place and tightened up. There you go, switches and plugs installed and ready to be tested. For the bathroom fan, I will need a 100mm hole. I don't have a 100mm hole saw, so I'm going to use my reciprocating saw to make a 100mm hole. For the cracks in between the wooden panels, I'm going to use this filler material, multi-filler. Now that the filler has dried, it's time to sand it smooth. And I'm using a 120 grit sandpick. I'm using the sanding machine instead. Alright guys, as you know, the interior walls are finished and they're ready to be prepped. I have a base coat here, which is a primer, and then a top layer which is white as well. And I'm going to brush it on with this. Semi-catastrophe. Alright, the first layer of base coat has been applied. This is primer. As you can see, I've applied it pretty roughly. I've left spaces open for the kitchen and the cabinets. Now that the primer is dry, it's time to sand the primer for a nice smooth finish and to prepare it for the final white finish coat. Now I'm cleaning up the walls so that it's ready to be painted. Okay guys, I sanded the walls, I cleaned the walls, I cleaned the floor, and now I'm ready for the top coat. The final coat of paint has been put on. In total I put 1 layer of primer and 4 layers of finishing coat. Wonderful. Back to the electronics. I hooked everything up, everything is wired up. Now I can put this in there, switch this on. Great success everybody, all the lights work, all the plugs work, and even all the switches work. As you can see, the light goes on and off and the fan works great. Success! Now that all the plugs and switches are on their place and I don't need to be inside the walls anymore, I can put on the house wrap. I'm starting with the roof here.
Broken dreams, broken without dust on the never forgot your dreams.
Hey guys, as you see I went wood shopping. These are the first strips that I will use on the ceiling and for the exterior cladding. And now I'm bringing it back to my house. Alright, I've got them on the place at the house. These are 18 times 35 millimeters by 3 meters long. They will go inside of my house and on top of my ceiling. I will mount them to the ceiling like so, and that way I have a base to mount the ceiling on, and I will use these plastic planks so that it's lightweight. So I'm pre-drilling holes and flush drilling them and then putting some screws through, and I'm using 25mm wood screws, and they kind of grab into the metal and pull the wood towards it. Alright, all the furring strips on the ceiling have been applied, and now it's time to mount the ceiling. This is what I'll be using. These are hollow plastic PVC sheets with a bamboo covering. These are nice and light and look beautiful. So I have to cut them to size, and for that task I'm using the jigsaw. And then simply mount it to the ceiling strips with some 16mm screws to screw it into the wood.
Spend your time with streams on a happy day. Live your life with dreams on a sunny day. Turn your life.
I have a ceiling! Now I gotta figure out what kind of ceiling I will put in the bathroom. Probably some kind of wood, and then coat it and then cover it with the same stuff that I'm gonna cover the walls with. For the bathroom ceiling I have mounted the fiberboard already and I covered up the holes. I will be treating that the same as the fiberboard walls, and everything will receive its vinyl covering. I hope you enjoyed this episode again. That's all for this episode, and I hope to see you next time. We'll make a lot more progression on the interior of this tiny house.